Most people, when asked about their dream cars, tend to point toward machines that live firmly in supercar territory. These are vehicles defined by dramatic silhouettes, razor-sharp aerodynamics, exotic materials, and engines capable of propelling them beyond the 200 miles per hour mark with ease. They represent the pinnacle of modern engineering, symbols of wealth, performance, and technological excess. Yet not every automotive dream is born from speed records or lap times. For some individuals, the cars that matter most are not the fastest or the most expensive, but the ones that planted a seed in their imagination decades earlier, often during childhood. These dreams are rooted in emotion rather than logic, nostalgia rather than specification sheets, and memory rather than market value. In many cases, those dreams take the form of golden-era American muscle and near-muscle cars, vehicles that once rolled proudly through the streets of the 1950s and 1960s, shaping the cultural landscape of an entire generation. Terry is one of those people whose passion for cars began long before he was old enough to drive. Growing up in the 1960s, he belonged to a generation that witnessed an explosion of creativity in automotive design. Detroit was experimenting boldly, stretching sheet metal into dramatic shapes, adding futuristic details, and pairing them with ever larger V8 engines. For many kids of that era, the heroes were obvious: Mustangs, Camaros, GTOs, Chargers, and Road Runners. These names would later become synonymous with the muscle car movement. Terry, however, found himself drawn to something slightly different. While others filled their notebooks with sketches of the most popular performance icons, Terry kept coming back to one particular car, the 1964 Mercury Marauder. It may not have been the most famous, the fastest, or the most widely celebrated model of its time, but to Terry, it had something special, something that captured his imagination in a way no other car could. Decades passed, as they tend to do. Childhood dreams are often buried under the responsibilities of adulthood, careers, families, and the practical demands of everyday life. For many people, those early automotive fantasies fade into distant memories, occasionally resurfacing when they spot a familiar shape at a car show or in an old photograph. For Terry, however, the dream never truly disappeared. The drawings he once made as a child remained a quiet reminder of something unfinished, a vision waiting to be realized. Eventually, that vision became reality when Terry acquired a real 1964 Mercury Marauder, transforming a long-held childhood fascination into something tangible and alive. Curiously, Terry himself remains something of an enigma. There is no detailed biography, no dramatic backstory filled with hardship or triumph, no carefully curated public persona. We do not know his exact age, and we do not know what he looks like. Yet his story still found its way into the spotlight thanks to his decision to bring the Marauder to Manderskeet Auto Appraisals. There, Ian, known for his deep appreciation of unique and historically interesting vehicles, immediately recognized that this particular Mercury was too special to ignore. The car's presence alone, combined with its condition and story, made it worthy of being featured on Ian's YouTube channel, allowing a wider audience to glimpse a lesser-known chapter of American automotive history. At first glance, the choice of a Mercury Marauder might seem puzzling to some enthusiasts. After all, the Marauder is not typically classified as a true muscle car in the strictest sense. It does not enjoy the same legendary status as Mercury's own Cyclone or the high-performance offerings from rival brands. It is not even one of Mercury's most iconic nameplates when measured by popularity or racing success. This naturally raises the question, why the Marauder? Why did this particular car resonate so deeply with Terry, when so many other options existed in the mid-1960s automotive landscape? One could easily fall back on the well-worn phrase that beauty is in the eye of the beholder and leave it at that. While there is truth in that statement, it does little justice to the car itself. The 1964 Mercury Marauder, especially in two-door hardtop form, possesses a distinctive character that sets it apart from its contemporaries. It represents a unique blend of luxury, performance, and avant-garde design, occupying a space somewhere between a full-size cruiser and a performance-oriented coupe. This particular Marauder is far from average, and understanding its appeal requires a closer look at the history behind the name and the era that produced it. The Marauder name first appeared in Mercury's lineup not as a car, but as an engine designation. In 1958, Mercury introduced the Marauder V8, signaling performance and power at a time when engine output was becoming a key selling point. Shortly thereafter came the Super Marauder, a massive 430 cubic inch engine that produced an astonishing 400 horsepower. For the late 1950s, this was an extraordinary figure, placing Mercury firmly in the performance conversation. The Marauder badge quickly became associated with strength, capability, and ambition, laying the groundwork for its eventual use on full automobiles. It was not until 1963 that the Marauder name officially appeared on Mercury cars. Even then, it was not a standalone model. Instead, it functioned as a specific model line or trim level available on existing Mercury offerings such as the Monterey, Monterey Custom, and S55. In its early form, the Marauder trim was limited to a two-door hardtop body style, which was itself a relatively new and fashionable configuration at the time. The absence of a traditional B-pillar gave the car a sleek, uninterrupted profile when the windows were down, enhancing its visual appeal and reinforcing its modern image. The 1964 model year marked a significant evolution for the Marauder. That year, the badge was offered across multiple Mercury lines, including the Monterey, Montclair, and Park Lane. Mercury also expanded availability to four-door hardtop versions, further broadening the car's appeal. Perhaps most notably, the 1964 model year coincided with Mercury's 25th anniversary, adding an extra layer of significance to vehicles produced during that time. Founded in late 1938, Mercury reached its quarter-century milestone with considerable pride. To celebrate, the brand introduced special Silver Anniversary Edition models for the 1964 model year. These vehicles were finished in an exclusive silver metallic paint that was not available on standard models. In addition, they featured small but distinctive Silver Anniversary Mercury badges on the driver's door, subtle markers of the brand's longevity and heritage. These details may have seemed minor at the time, but they have since become highly meaningful to collectors and enthusiasts. Exact production numbers for the anniversary editions remain unclear, but estimates suggest that fewer than 4,000 were built. Overall, Mercury produced nearly 13,000 Marauders for the 1964 model year, with approximately 8,760 of them being two-door hardtops like Terry's car. While these figures do not make the Marauder exceptionally rare by classic car standards, the passage of more than 6 decades has drastically reduced the number of surviving examples. As a result, encountering a well-preserved 1964 Marauder today is an uncommon experience, particularly one finished in its original silver anniversary color. Terry's Marauder is neither a time capsule survivor nor the product of an exhaustive, frame-off rotisserie restoration. Instead, it occupies a comfortable middle ground that many enthusiasts find especially appealing. The car received a repaint in its original hue many years ago, ensuring that it still reflects the factory-intended appearance. Under the hood, a few changes have been made over time, reflecting the realities of ownership, maintenance, and evolving preferences. Despite these modifications, the car remains in excellent condition both visually and mechanically, a testament to careful stewardship rather than obsessive perfectionism. Visually, the Marauder is striking, even by modern standards. Its design incorporates space-age influences that were prevalent in the early 1960s, a period when America was captivated by the promise of the future and the excitement of the space race. The roofline flows smoothly into the rear deck, the body panels are clean and purposeful, and the proportions convey a sense of confidence and elegance. Finished in silver, the car takes on an almost futuristic quality, reflecting light in a way that accentuates its lines and curves. While silver is not always the most popular color choice for vehicles of this era, on the Marauder it feels appropriate, even inspired. Powering this particular car is a 390 cubic inch V8, equivalent to 6.4 liters of displacement. This was the smallest engine option available for the first-generation Marauder, yet small is a relative term in the context of 1960s American V8s. Ford offered 4 different versions of the 390, with output ratings of 250, 270, 300, and 330 horsepower. From the factory, Terry's Marauder was equipped with a 4-barrel carburetor, delivering a healthy balance of performance and drivability. At some point decades ago, that carburetor was replaced with a 2-barrel unit, slightly altering the engine's character. From a purist's perspective, one might argue that returning the engine to its original factory specification would enhance the car's authenticity and potentially its value. There is a certain appeal to experiencing a classic vehicle exactly as it left the showroom floor. However, modifications made during a car's life also tell a story, reflecting the tastes and practical considerations of previous owners. In this case, the change does little to diminish the car's charm. The big block V8 still delivers the kind of smooth, effortless torque that defined American performance cars of the era, and the driving experience remains deeply satisfying. Ultimately, Terry's 1964 Mercury Marauder stands as a reminder that automotive passion is deeply personal. Not every dream car needs to be universally admired or instantly recognizable. Sometimes, the most meaningful vehicles are the ones that connect us to our own past, to the dreams we carried as children, and to the era that shaped our imagination. This Marauder may not dominate auction headlines or racing history books, but it represents something far more enduring: the fulfillment of a lifelong dream and the preservation of a unique piece of automotive history. It proves that some classics, especially when finished in silver and cared for with genuine affection, can age gracefully while retaining the power to inspire all more than 60 years after they first hit the road. What makes stories like Terry's resonate so strongly with enthusiasts is the quiet authenticity behind them. There is no sense of chasing trends, market values, or social media attention. Instead, the Marauder represents a deeply personal choice, one guided by memory and emotional connection rather than by reputation alone. In an era where many classic cars are restored, modified, or collected primarily as investments, Terry's Mercury feels refreshingly sincere. It exists not to impress others, but to satisfy a promise he unknowingly made to himself as a child sketching cars on paper. There is also something especially compelling about cars that occupy the space just outside the mainstream spotlight. Vehicles like the 1964 Marauder often reward closer inspection, revealing thoughtful design decisions and engineering confidence that can be overshadowed by louder, more famous contemporaries. The Marauder was never meant to be a stripped-down drag strip weapon. Instead, it balanced comfort, size, and power in a way that reflected Mercury's identity as a bridge between Ford's accessibility and Lincoln's luxury. That balance is still evident today, both in how the car looks and how it likely feels on the road. Driving a car like this is not about raw aggression or constant adrenaline. It is about presence. The long hood, wide stance, and unmistakable V8 soundtrack create a sense of occasion every time the engine starts. Cruising at highway speeds, the Marauder would have delivered a smooth, confident ride, effortlessly covering long distances while reminding its driver of the power waiting beneath the throttle. This was the kind of car designed for the American landscape of the 1960s, built for open roads, optimism, and the belief that the future was bright and expansive. Seen through that lens, Terry's Marauder becomes more than just a well-kept classic. It is a rolling time capsule, not frozen in perfection, but alive with history. Every repaint, every mechanical change, and every mile driven adds another layer to its story. It stands as proof that dreams do not have expiration dates, and that the cars we fall in love with as children can still find their way into our lives decades later, carrying with them the same sense of wonder they inspired so long ago.